What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Knives at the Round Table. My name's Marco, and today we're going to be talking about the Chris Reeve Inkosi. This particular version of the knife is the Knife Art exclusive with the full carbon fiber scale. This particular version of the knife is what they call the Insingo blade, which is their word for their sheep's foot. You can find it in a variety of different scales, and you can find it in a variety of different blades. There's a drop point, and there's a tanto version of the knife. The tanto version of this knife is really good. I wish that I could get the carbon fiber with the tanto scale. I haven't seen one of those pop up. If it does, I'll probably be showcasing here in the future. Now, the Inkosi, this version of the knife is in S35 VN. It's because I bought it probably, I want to say probably 8 months to a year ago. So I think they've started to do S45 VN, but this one came in S35 VN. And like I said, it's a Knife Art exclusive. Now, before I ramble too much, let me give you some size comparisons. This is against the Paramilitary 2, and that is the Para 3. So, size-wise, very similar to the Para 2. Okay, this one has a 3.5-inch blade, which is kind of much bigger than the Para 2. But handle-wise, it's very similar. So it's not a small knife. This is one of Chris Reeve's full-size knives, probably the second largest one they make. I think the Unumzan is a little bit bigger than probably this one. It's very close to the Sebenza, but I think the Inkosi is still a little bit bigger. Now, against this, the Benchmade bug out, that's the full-size bug out, and this is the mini bug out. So it carries very well just because it folds down to a very compact size, but so it carries better than the Para 2, but not quite as good as the bug out. Although, you know, if you compare it, I would say that in the pocket it feels a lot closer to the bug out than it is to the Para 2, just because in this dimension it folds down to a fairly compact size. It slips in and out of the pocket fairly easily. Now, when I did my Chris Reeve brand overview, and I'll link to it up here, this is the knife that I would recommend if somebody wanted to try out Chris Reeve Knives. And you know, most people will recommend the Sebenza because that's kind of the iconic knife in their lineup. That's kind of the one that, you know, the Sebenza this and the Sebenza that. And it's a great knife. It's an awesome knife. I will not take anything away from the Sebenza, but I just think that ergonomics are a lot better on the Inkosi. These finger grooves that you see here, the contouring that they've done on the scales, guides your hand much better to where it ought to be, and it feels just great in the hand. The Inkosi is supposed to be a harder use knife than the Sebenza, especially because they've done these. Let me see if I can show you. If you can see in there, they have these really large phosphor bronze washers. Can you see in there? They have this really large phosphor bronze washers, and I think the blade stock's a little bit thicker, and so it's supposed to be a harder use knife, and the ergonomics of it are meant to do that. You know, where it locks into your hand. The Sebenza has more of a neutral handle with no finger grooves, no nothing. But this one, the disengaging of the lock bar and the placement of the fingers, all of that is just much better, and that's the reason that I recommended this knife over the Sebenza if you wanted to try out Chris Reeve Knives. The action on these knives is kind of unique, right? You can, with some wrist and some force, get them to deploy fast. but that's not what they're meant to do. You know, you're supposed to slow roll them out, and you can do that. And the action, you know, it's been described as hydraulic and glassy smooth, and by God, I can't come up with better adjectives than that. You know, it's just it is very smooth. It's like this just continuous frictionless opening that is just very controlled. You know, as opposed to being drop shut like a lot of knives. It's definitely a smooth action, but it is not a fast action. Like you saw there, I tried to deploy it fast and I couldn't. It happens a lot with this knife. So if you're looking for something that's snappy, that just pops out, that just deploys, this is not these knives. All of the Chris Reeve knives, they're not that. It's one of my gripes with them. I wish that they had a model that you could deploy quickly. Like even like Medford knives, right? For the longest time, you used to always kind of slow roll many Medford knives, and now they're getting into doing flippers. I wish that Chris Reeve Knives had a model, just come up with a model that flips in case for those people who like the faster action. Again, it feels like a high-end, high quality, really nice action. It feels premium. Okay, I want to make sure, but if you want to do a fast deployment, you know, kind of like what you get in a pair, right? Just snap. You will not get that in this knife. Now, cutting with this knife is really nice. The ergonomics again lend itself so that you hold the knife, it locks in place. It has a little bit of jimping that locks your finger without hurting your finger, and it just cuts like a dream. It has this really nice sheepsfoot blade with this switch. I love this switch. This just looks really, really nice. And because of the grind, it has a little bit of flat, and then you got this, and it comes down to a fairly thin edge, and it cuts really well. And I think this one it strikes a really nice balance between having, you know, a reasonably thin edge, but at the same time, you never feel like you're gonna break this knife at any point. You know, this switch that they carried out here, it makes for a more robust tip. So it's I would say that it's a very good balance. It's kind of like, you know, Rickender knives, the XM18. It has similar properties, right? Where the blade is not as thin, but it comes to a nice edge and it cuts really well, but you never feel like the knife it has this thin blade that you're gonna damage. Like if I compare it to, like, so this is the mini buck out, so you can tell, let me see if I can get it here, you can tell how much thicker that is, right? So you never feel like this one like the blade on this one is in danger, but it actually cuts really, really well. And the sheep's foot, you know, for kind of draw cuts, it's really, really nice. So this one, again, they call it the Insingo blade, but as you can tell, it's I guess a fancy word for sheep's foot. Now, fit and finish. Now, Chris Reeve is legendary for his fit and finish. You know, his you know, the texturing on the titanium is like this bead blasted, like you're running your finger through 500 grit sandpaper. It's really, really smooth, but at the same time, it's not slippery. This version of the knife, again, it comes with a carbon fiber scales, but you can get it with micarta. You can get it with plain titanium, and the plain titanium just looks like this scale, but on this side. So you can, but the fit and finish, you know, the carbon fiber that he does, everything's chamfered. You know, everything comes to nice points. I love this kind of, I don't know if you would call it a bevel or a chamfer that they do here with this, that goes down to a point. You know, Chris Reeve's legendary for his tolerances. Okay, he creates the precision in his knives. You take it apart, you put it back together, it works exactly the way it did when it was new. It's they're perfectly centered. You never have any problem centering the blade. I mean, you never have to center the blade because it centers itself. So the tolerances and the fit and finish of a Chris Reeve knife is it's really really good. If you wanted a knife that that was guaranteed to be reliable forever, then I think the Inkosi is probably a really really good bet. You know, with the large phosphor bronze washers that provide the blade with a lot of stability. You know, with a more robust blade, with a great ergonomics and the tight tolerances, again, fit and finish. There's a reason Chris Reeve, you know, he's won the award for manufacturing excellence in blade show. He won it however many years. I mean, it was like years and years and years and years before everybody kind of caught up to his level. So now I think, you know, I just think that the quality of the knife is great. Now finally, the airing of grievances, right? What I dislike about the knife. Again, I wish that they had a version of this that was that you could deploy with a flipper tab, or that you could deploy fast. You know, I think all of the knives in their collection, from the Savenza to the Inkosi to the Umnumzan, all of the folding knives, they have the exact same action, and you don't need to have the exact same action on all your knives. You know, you can have, maybe if the Savenza is too iconic, then do this one with a flipper tab. I think Chris Reeve, the only thing that one of the things that I think they should do is, you know, they should evolve, because they've done some wonderful things, right? Chris Reeve invented the frame block. Now they do have a ceramic ball lock bar interface, so I don't know if you can see it. Maybe here, between the lock bar and the blade, there's a little ceramic ball, maybe there. So it adds to the longevity. So they do a lot of things right. They just need to evolve to see that a lot of knives are managing, you know, really nice actions. You know, look, the Para 3 is running on phosphor bronze washers, right? And it has a compression lock. So, you know, you see that? You see how the blade is loose? Well, there's not a lot of reason why you couldn't do that with this knife. So I wish that the action was a little bit better. Now, the clip is also something, it feels like an afterthought. It works, okay? It's a well-designed clip, but it's just a piece of bent titanium. I think for the knife that this is, for the price that it comes at, I think that the pocket clip, you know, it's just too plain, too simple. It just, I don't think it jives where you have a knife that is whatever $450 or $500, and you have this just bent clip. It feels like an afterthought. And finally, one of the things that it's maybe unique to me, but I will mention it, is that whenever I want to deploy it fast, right? Whenever I want to kick it out, when I push the thumb stud, I push that way, but my finger, this portion of my finger lands directly on that point. So I kind of hit that point every single time. And at the end of the day, if I'm trying to flick it a lot, and I do fidget with my knives, I kind of end up hitting that point a lot. But I think those are the only things, and I really am nitpicking here, because like I said, out of the Chris Reeve lineup, if you wanted to get into Chris Reeve, I believe that this is the best entry point. This is the full-size Inkosi. There's a small Inkosi if you have smaller hands, or if you live in a place where you need a smaller blade. The small Inkosi, the size is very similar to the mini bug out. So what I recommended in my brand overview is that you try out the Inkosi before all the other knives. I do think it's a better knife. But, you know, deciding between the large and the small, that just depends on your hand, or if you have any restrictions on where you live. I think the Inkosi is a great knife. Again, if you like sheepsfoot, I think the sheepsfoot is a great version. I would prefer to have the Tanto. So if any of you want to trade this for the exact same version but with a Tanto, I'm open to to you talking to me. Send me a message. But I do think that it's a great knife. I think that Chris Reeve has done a lot of great things. I think they have excellent quality, excellent fit and finish, and I just think that they maybe need to evolve a little bit to get in with some of the action that you can get nowadays, even running on stuff like phosphor bronze washers. Well, guys, hopefully this helps you. If it does, then like, subscribe. I always tell you, do not hit the notifications. You know, we get enough emails, we get enough grief in our lives. Whenever you have time and want to watch one of my videos, come watch it. Otherwise, until I see you again, take care.